following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates.
It does not necessarily reflect the views of WDEL or Forever Media.
Wait a minute.
The Rick Jensen Show on 101.7 FM, 1150 AM, WDEL, and streaming to your smart speaker and mobile device.
All right, I want to get to Steve, obviously, because we're talking about the failed expectations from Newcastle County and the taxes. Steve, what's on your mind, sir?
Thanks for taking my call, Rick. All right, so here's a beauty for you. My new tentative assessed value has gone up 751.5% exactly.
Damn.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, now, I'm far below what the average sale home is. I think they said our average price is $380,000. I'm far below that. And with all due respect, what they put on this assessed value, I could probably sell my home for. But you're never going to convince me that my taxes aren't going to go up. For 751% difference.
And I'm not going to try. So this has been my point now for weeks and weeks, if not even longer. But it's really come to a head now that Matt Meyer, county executive, needs to get in front of this. The people do not trust him. They don't. They have no idea what's going on. There's a failure to lead here, a failure of setting expectations, and he's failed over 500,000 people in the state of Delaware, where he's going to be governor soon. And even before he's sworn in, he's failing the largest county in the state.
Big time. Big time. And again, we have a political party who's known for tax and spend.
Yep.
And I think this is part of it, to be honest with you, and a transfer of wealth to go along with it.
There is that as well. Plus, as Scott, the listener, calls in quite a bit, mentioned earlier, he just mentioned BlackRock offhand. Well, I happen to know because I read about this and I invest a little bit here and there. BlackRock doesn't buy individual homes. They invest in companies that do, and they've got something like they're the second largest investor in Tower Technologies, and they got something like a 3 1/3 million shares. Let me take a look at this again. They got 3.36 million shares in Tower Technologies. So is there an interest there? Oh, hell yes, there's an interest there. And there are a lot of people who are very suspicious about all of this, and it would be wrong for me to suggest that they shouldn't be.
Put two and two together. Thanks for taking my call, Rick.
All right, Steve, take care. Man, over 700%. Over 700%.
Right. I can email it to you if you want to see it.
Oh, just say it one more time, though, just to make yourself feel better. Give us the percentage one more time.
751.5% increase.
751.5. Thanks, Steve. All right, Be well. All right, 302-529-1017. The point is that, yes, he can sell the house for that dollar amount, and that's what this guy Mike with Tower Technology was saying on this program. Okay, fine. We know what that is. We just don't know what it means. And I'm feeling everybody else's anger. I really am. I mean, my gosh, there are people for whom a $500 tax increase is brutal. Just brutal. Well, that's my experience. $500. Maybe, if that's what it is. If this guy, Randy, is right about this. Cleansing breath. How's that? Yeah. Cleansing breath. Well, look, I've mentioned this many, many times, and that is that I am a happy camper client of Dan White and Associates. I never lost money with these guys. In the markets, I've made some money. I've lost some money. I've been lucky. I've made more good decisions than bad ones, but I watch accounts go beep sometimes, and these guys are pros, and I'm glad to be on the Dan White team. Dan Simon is one of the awesome financial planners specializing in retirement income. Every Wednesday after the news at 1:30, Dan or Andrew or Dan White himself will call in, give some advice. Now, for those of you on the phone, hang on. I'm thinking we will have time for you after our conversation with Dan with some really good advice on retirement income. But Dan, in the world in which you work, which is not the world of finance so much as the world of making sure that people have money when they retire, it's all about expectations, right? So in what you do, how do you work with all these unexpected events in our lives, inflation, taxes, things like that, and try to set some reasonable expectations for us who are your clients. I know you didn't expect that. You didn't expect that question, did you? Did I have a problem with the phone here? I have no idea. Hang on for a second here. I'm off the air right now. Dan, can you hear me? Can you? Yeah, there you are. All right, well, hang on for a second. Let's try again. All right. Yes, I am the phone screener. All right, let's try again. Dan, you there, sir?
Here. Happy December, Rick. How are you?
All right, there you go. There you go. What the heck is going on here? I don't know if it's our phone or what. So, thanks for being on.
Maybe the phone company's taxes were bumped up or something like that.
Yep.
Stuff, you know?
Yeah. So that's a big question. Life. This is what I told my kid, and I live by this. Everything in life is about expectations, whether it's a dinner date or a marriage proposal. We all want to know, what's the expectation here, and sometimes we fail to ask. But really, life is about expectations. So how do you deal with this? And I know there's some topics you want to get to. But before we do that, this is the one I want to hear from you. We have tax increases, we've got reassessments, you've got inflation and all that. You sit down with some folks, and we just want to know what to expect, at least in some way. How do you do this? How do you manage expectations when you sit down with somebody and say, okay, we're going to go through a financial plan for you?
Yeah, so expectations is a great word, and I use the word a lot during the day of certainty, right? Mm-hmm. We as humans, we gravitate towards certain things, right? Outcomes that we know are going to happen, right? We go to the same restaurant. Why? Because we've been there before. We know what it's going to be like. We wear the same clothes because we know they fit.
Yeah.
So expectations, it's a great way to look at it in what we do, because I think people do want to have realistic expectations as they save and go through the accumulation process, and then expectations as to, how much income can we expect in retirement? How much can we spend? How much of an impact our tax is going to be? And, the expectations that I use for people when we do our modeling and planning, I believe it's prudent to be very conservative from a growth rate of return expectation. Illustrating things and saying, hey, you're going to make 9-10% a year. I think that's a little bit outlandish. Could it happen? Sure. But I think it's far more prudent to use realistic or more conservative expectations when we talk about growth of assets. I also think it's wise rather to use a little bit more of liberal expectations as to what our expenses are going to be, because there's unknowns out there.
Yeah. I
know the folks in Newcastle County right now. I spoke with a client of mine. He's 90 years old, and he's getting hit with his tax increase. He's like, Dan, what am I supposed to do? It's just, it's tough news, a tough pill to swallow, right?
It is.
So you've got to be prepared for events like this. And the way we go about things is you got to have diversified income sources in retirement. I firmly believe you should have at least a component of your retirement income secured via guaranteed instruments, whether it's Social Security, whether it's pension, leveraging guaranteed income sources from insurance companies via annuity products, and then also having non-guaranteed income, or what we refer to as potential income, which I view more as a source of liquidity for events like this that Delawareans are facing. And those are assets that are generally held in savings, checking, CDs, invested in the market, in managed accounts, whether it's in stocks, ETF, index funds, mutual funds, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But leveraging that as a source of liquidity for the unknown. And that's I think what people are facing right now, and will likely going forward into the future.
So what did you
not
want?
necessarily just from property tax, but also income tax.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. That kind of puts things in perspective. And what is it you originally called about today?
I don't know. I called in to say Happy Thanksgiving and see how you were doing, Rick.
Very good. That's fine.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, bye.
I think I'm fighting a little bit of the cold everybody else is. I know you got a lot of callers, but just wanted to touch on a couple of things. This December, I think it's a good time of the year to just talk about a little bit of a year-end financial checkup, things people should be looking at. First item I'd recommend is check your income. How much money have you made this year? Check what tax bracket you're likely going to fall in, and whether or not taking the opportunity or taking a look at the opportunity of Roth conversions makes sense. Most of the people that I speak with these days think taxes are going up in the future. Taxes are relatively low now, income taxes, that is. So does a Roth conversion make sense? So that's number one. Number two, a risk assessment. The stock market is at an all-time high right now. It's been on a run. But I also know that in the last 25 years, we've seen corrections of over 40% twice, not once, twice. And this market likely will have a correction in the future. I don't know when. I don't know how big it will be or how long it will last. But if you're closing in on retirement and you're looking to start leveraging those assets that have appreciated from the market value appreciation, maybe it's time to do a risk assessment. And then, second to last, retirement income certainty. You have that you can rely on when you retire. Most people walk in, they spread the statements across my desk. They say, this is what I got. And then I ask them, how much income can you draw on a monthly basis and how long is it going to last?
Yeah.
You know what the answer typically is, right? So what level of retirement income certainty do you have if you're one of those individuals that's approaching the retirement age or even in retirement? And then last but not least, it's weird. I don't know why it happens this time of the year. But I feel like I'm getting a whole lot more calls about people losing loved ones around the holidays. So check the estate plan. Make sure the documents are up to date. Beneficiaries are up to date. They are who you want them to be. And it's not just the beneficiaries, but wills, power of attorney, healthcare directives, both medical and financial. POAs are in place. But a few checklist items shouldn't take a whole lot of time, but would recommend taking a look at those items and making sure you're ready for a fresh start in 2025.
It's a good point. I mean, year after year after year, we see more and more heart attacks happening during the holidays. On Sunday morning at 7 a.m., Dan White himself hosts On the Money here on this radio station, 11:50 a.m., 101.7 FM, streaming live at WDEL.com. Do you know what he's going to be talking about this Sunday, Dan?
Oh, boy, I could probably try to find it.
I'm not going to worry about it too much. I probably should have left it open-ended and just pause and say, because, I know you guys are very, very busy. It's end of the year. You're meeting with so many clients. Just remember, whatever it's going to be meaningful to you because these guys do their research. They know what they're talking about. On the Money, Sunday morning, 7 a.m. Yeah?
Ways to plan your retirement goals.
There you go.
It's going to be his topic, and then he's got to give away how will you get paid in retirement. It's a good white paper.
Nice.
So tune in. I'm sure it'll be a good one. I don't think he's singing any carols this year, but I'm sure he'll have a lot of good wisdom to share. You
can reach Dan Simon at Dan White & Associates, 888-690-8820, or just Google the really long danwhiteandassociates.com. All right. Thanks, Dan. Good conversation. Be well, sir.
You too, Rick. Take care.
Happy holidays.